In today's video, we're going to be testing out the ActiveTrack on the Neo, the Flip, the Mini 4 Pro, the Air 3S and the Mavic 3 Pro to find out which one's best for you. And I think you're going to be surprised. Hi everyone, hope you're all tickety-boo. As the weather's been improving over in the UK, I've decided to get out, and it takes some time to do this, and put all 5 drones through some rigorous tests on the ActiveTrack. So we're going to be testing the Neo, the Flip, the Mini 4 Pro, the Air 3S and the Mavic 3 Pro. But we're not just going to be testing it to see which one's best at ActiveTrack or which gets the most cinematic stuff and things like that, but put it through different scenarios so we can find out, depending on what you're going to use it for, which one's going to be best for you. And like I said earlier, I think you're going to be surprised at the results. And the reason being is when the Air 3S came out, there was loads of videos on the internet, weren't there, on YouTube and things like that, about how great this beast is at obstacle avoidance. And to be honest with you, I've made one as well, and I've been really impressed with it, especially when it was going through the trees like this on my initial test. And if you're interested in a look at that one in more detail, so you can see it when it's flying around the bike on the beach and things like that, you'll find a link up here. But I have heard some horror stories, including something that happened to myself. So what I thought I'd do is, rather than testing which one's the best at ActiveTrack or what one's got the best features and things like that, I thought I'd test it out and see which one's the best for you through the different scenarios, like I said. And maybe one of the smaller ones is going to be better for some people, especially if things go a little bit peak-tong like it did to me the other day, and unfortunately you haven't got that DJI Care refresh in place, which I definitely recommend you should always get, because I've had to rely on it quite a few times and it's an absolutely amazing service. So what I've done, I've got out and tested it tracking me walking through the woods and things like that, also tracking Mark on one of his motorbikes and tracking me in the Discovery. But that's where the problem happened, and actually I ended up using that Care refresh again. So let's get out to the woods and put them through the first test. Now, the woods at the moment, as you're probably aware, it's February, isn't it, here in the UK, so there's not much foliage and things like that. So it's really going to test them to the limits, because there's loads of twigs on the branches and it might not pick them up. So let's see how they all get on. Let's give the Neo a little test walking around the woods here first of all. Little old Neo did pretty good, didn't she? Let's go and try the Flip out now. Next one up is the DJI Flip. Next up, we've got the Mini 4 Pro. Let's get on with it. Little problem there from this little beauty, isn't there? Next up, we've got the Air 3S. Now, after those little problems that we seem to have with the Mini 4 Pro, yeah, although it didn't get damaged, it hit a few branches and trees like that. I'm a little bit worried about this one in amongst these trees. But let's see how it gets on. Let's get on with it. There you go. What do you think then, really? What do you genuinely think? Because personally, I think the Neo and the Flip did a better job at following me, as in directly following me. And also, with the guards on them, there was a number of times where I could hear it clipping the branches and the twigs and things like that, and it protected the propellers and it didn't really throw them out of sync. And for me, the Mini 4 Pro and the Air 3S, it actually felt like it was too intelligent, as they seemed to stay further away from the subject. And when it's following you, it's like it's trying to get a better angle, even though I'd asked it to follow me closely from behind. And as you can see here, I had to intervene a few times and stop them from clipping the twigs and branches, and it did do it quite a few times. And to be honest with you, I wish I'd been able to have been quick enough to have done that when it was following Discovery, and you'll find out what I mean in a minute. But in the meantime, if you're finding this helpful in any way, give it the old thumbs up, and why don't you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on any future videos. Anyway, next up, we got Mark, and what we're going to be doing is following him on one of his motorbikes. That's the Neo sorted out. Now, before we get in and have a look at the Flip, what I need to let you know is for some reason, and I don't know why DJI have done this, and hopefully they're going to do a firmware update so it does include it, because to me it limits the use of it, especially for people, those creators that are out and about, and those solo creators and things like that. But for some reason, it doesn't follow vehicles. However, there is a little trick. What you need to do is actually select the person like this. So here I am selecting Mark, okay, and then as he gets on the motorbike, what it'll do is it tricks the Flip into thinking that it's following him. So let's have a look at how it gets on once I've tricked it into thinking that Mark's actually walking. Did alright, didn't it? Now next, I'm not going to the Mini 4 Pro, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but we're going to go on to the Air 3S. Let's have a look at how that does. So there you go, the Air 3S did a bloody good job, and personally I like how you can have the different angles on the Air 3S and things like that, because you can have it actually rotating you around, and you can have it set on auto so that it creates the most cinematic view, or what it thinks it's going to do anyway. And if you're interested in that, like I said, there's a video up here where you can go and check that out and all the different functions on it. But as you can see here, it did almost hit the tree at the end, didn't it? It did stop itself from doing it, and it followed Mark back, but maybe I should have taken more interest in that. You'll see what I mean when I attempted to track the Discovery. I left the Mini 4 Pro till last because in a minute you'll see why I thought I needed to use that DJI Care refresh again. Now that was a squeaky bum moment for me, to be honest with you. Did a bloody good job, didn't it, about saving itself from crashing into the ground. But as you can see here, it knocked the camera out of line, but got it back to myself, no damage on the drone whatsoever, and a quick calibration on that camera. It was all fine and tickety-boo. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below, and any questions and things like that, I'll always get back to you. But what one would you choose based on what you've seen so far? Now last but not least, let's get on with tracking that Discovery. It didn't go that well. First off, although they say the Neo can track cars in the remote control mode, I couldn't get it to recognise the Discovery, but it did recognise the motorbike when it was with Mark. But I will try it again on a different vehicle, maybe not a 4x4, maybe a car or something like that. And if I can get it to work, what I'll do is stick another little video up, just a quick one, to show it working in a few days. Now, you know I showed you that trick where you could get the flip to follow somebody, as in a person, actually get it round them, then get them to get onto the motorbike and follow them that way, how that worked. However, it doesn't work when you come into a car, because at the end of the day, it's not going to see you as a person. So again, I'm really hoping that DJI put a firmware fix in there so it will track vehicles. As with that little LiDAR thing on the front of it, I think it would do a pretty good damn job on it. Now, let's get and have a look at the Mini 4 Pro following Discovery.
On the line, too much to give in.
So I've stopped it there as it hovered over the top of the trees, and there's a reason for this, and I'll explain that in a minute. In the past, it's really done really well on it, but unfortunately, I did this after I'd done the Air 3S one, and I didn't fancy crashing another drone, because at the end of the day, I'd have had 2 to send back then, and then nothing to use at the weekend. But if you are interested in seeing it work in its real entirety, then there is a video up here on the Mini 4 Pro. It's following us down the beach on the bike and different things like that, and it's a really good drone for doing things like that. In fact, to be honest with you, I still think it's one of my favourite drones, but I did stop it there because I didn't want to crash another drone, as I said. But let's look at the Air 3S one and how well that did or didn't do.
We're renegades, they'll never see us cause we're moving the night. We're always ready if they put up a fight. Outrun, outclimb, we'll outshine. You will run and think it's worth it to try. So listen up, I'm calling your bluff. Too much on the line, too much to give in. If you think it's over, then...
There you go. The footage from that is actually the cache footage off of the controller, because when it crashed, it was still filming. I don't know if you know anything about drones, but if you actually switch the drone off without closing the recording, or it crashes or there's a power failure and things like that, then the footage itself becomes corrupted. There is a fix for it. What you need to do is put the card back in, turn the drone back on, and then it should be fine. However, this drone has actually had it so much that it doesn't even start back up when you put the battery in. Thankfully, I've got another one because I've had the Care refresh. But it did do something weird. As you can see here, it started to rear off to the right, and it came back pretty quickly. and then just started to rise up into the trees. Now I think it was trying to get above the trees so it could track you from above, and I've done that before in the past, as you can see here. In fact, on this same road here we are tracking it from above, but like you can see here in the footage, it actually hit the branches. But did you notice this? On the second to last frame, as it's spinning around and going towards the tarmac, you can actually see this car in the distance. And to be honest with you, I think it may well have survived until the car ran over it. Personally, I'm no expert on the algorithms and things like that, but I think it's down to too much tech now trying to act against each other. Because when you think about it, it's trying to track it through the camera itself, isn't it? So it's using all of the stuff on board there with the computers and everything else working. It's also got the traditional obstacle avoidance on there, which has always worked well on the Mavic 3 Pro, and like I said, the Mini 4 Pro, which I really love. But with the LiDAR on there as well, it adds that extra bit, doesn't it? So I'm wondering whether or not all three things working together is actually causing it to overthink things. Now, at the end of the day, you shouldn't just rely on it doing it by itself. I don't normally do things like that. I'm normally in a passenger seat following other cars, or down the beach following the boats and the surf rescue stuff and things like that. And then you're in control of it. So to be honest with you, I don't even use ActiveTrack that much when I'm doing it. I have the obstacle avoidance on just in case. But 9 times out of 10, I'm using it manual and controlling it through things like that. Or I might put spotlight on and rotate around and things like that. But the ActiveTrack itself, to be honest with you, sometimes it can make that cinematic footage look a bit dodgy. In conclusion though, if you want something that's going to follow you around in woods and things like that, close by you and things, then maybe the Neo and the Flip is going to be better for you, especially seeing as you don't need to take the controller, you can control it from your phone, or you can actually hand launch it and things like that. So that may be the best choice for you. But if you're after speed and you want better quality footage, and you're going to be doing it in different scenarios out in the open, not into the close woods and things like that, or near the trees, then maybe you're going to need to go for either the Mini 4 Pro or the Air 3S. Now, one thing you will have noticed is I didn't try out the Mavic 3 Pro with it, and the reason being is when I saw all that footage happening in the woods and things like that, it's a bigger drone. It hasn't got as good obstacle avoidance as the other ones anyway, so I didn't want to damage that, because to be honest with you, I'm about to sell it, and I definitely wasn't going to follow it in the car, because if I crashed that one, I haven't got DJI Care refresh on that one because it's run out now, so I wouldn't have been able to get it replaced. So that's why I didn't test it. It's still a bloody good drone, and you're probably going to be able to pick up some cheap ones soon when the Mavic 4 Pro comes out, but it's not for me. But as I said, I personally prefer the Mini 4 Pro, and when they come out with the 5, I bet it's going to have a better camera on it, so maybe we'll be swapping over to that one. But if you've got any questions, comments or tests you want me to do, then leave them in the comments down below. I'll always get back to you. Stay safe out there everyone, have fun making stuff, and above all, keep smiling. See ya.